Everyone. This is Jemima, and I'll be your host for today. I'm actually stepping in for Annabelle, so she'll come in the course of the event. So we are still on the celebration of Agile 20 Reflect Festival, which is for the entire period of February. Today we have an amazing speaker, Julianne Pilster. She's been an incredible speaker, and Akaditi has had her for quite some time now. We've experienced the wonderful things that she's been able to do. Today, she'll be speaking on how to build an agile remote working team. And I think everyone should be interested in this topic. Like, it's going to be pretty awesome to know how we're going to work in these times with our remote teams. So the course of the presentation, if you have any question, you can put it in the Q&A session, the column there. You can put your question there. If you want to speak as well, since it's a webinar, you would need to raise your hand. Then after her presentation, you'll be allowed to speak. So Julianne, this is your time to wow us.
Thank you very much, Jemima. That was a really nice introduction. And hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be part of the Agile20reflect Festival, as this way of working is becoming more and more important, and it's already many years important for me. So thank you very much for the invitation to Akaditi. It's always a pleasure to be with you, with all the people, with the participants, but especially with the organizers. You are doing a great job, and I think you are also doing a great job in this virtual environment. So thank you very much for having me. I am Julianne. Currently, I'm working as a head of Agile transformation at HDI Global SE. HDI Global SE is a very big industrial insurance company, and I'm working here since January, so quite new to the company, but already in between. Despite of the fact that I just met 6 of my colleagues, and everyone else I just met in a virtual environment, because this is how we are working at the moment. I'm an industrial engineer in the field of electrical engineering, but I started to work on organizational transformations pretty soon, so don't ask me anything about electrical engineering. I had various specialist and leadership positions at different companies since 2009, where I finished my studies. I'm already also a founder at startups, so in my leisure time I like to start up businesses. So this is something that I like very much. And I'm also an author and speaker at conferences, for example, and here you can see some books and publications that I contributed to. And one was this year. It's the one that I have a little bit bigger on the slide. It's unfortunately it's in German, so it's pointless to share it probably. But this was especially on the topic of how to collaborate in this virtual environment. And I want to share what I found out during the last year, that we were working in a virtual environment. If you have any questions, just raise your hand. I think Jemima will then make you can do it, that you can ask the question. It's the Q&A where you have to put in your question, I think. So all questions are welcome, and I think that the talk will be about 20 minutes, so it's just a short introduction to the topic, because I think that in a virtual environment it's pointless to talk 60 minutes or more. So I hope that we will have a nice discussion afterwards. So before Corona, because Corona is what made us working more virtually than before. So maybe just kind of disclaimer. Today I'm not talking about people who were used to work remotely. Of course, there were many globally distributed teams already working together before Corona, and that worked out very well. So we are talking about all the people who did not work remotely, because most of us were not used to sit in front of a camera and talk to a camera like I do it now. I would rather see you all in the audience. That would be much nicer. So that's still a kind of strange situation. And for people who were not used to it, it was even more, or it is even more. So before Corona, home office or working remotely somewhere might have looked like this, because, and that what I experienced is that people did not switch on the cameras for two reasons. One was there was no camera available, and second was they did not like to switch it on, because they might have an environment like you can see on the picture. Nowadays, it hopefully rather looks like this, or maybe like this, and also like this. So the remote working and working from home did bring a lot of other things with us. For example, how to organize family and work while everyone is at home. But this is not part of the speech, because this is a completely different topic. But nevertheless, I think it's important to mention. Probably everywhere in the world, the digitalization got a boost, because we had to work remotely from one day to the other. And of course, it's not everyone was already prepared. So not everyone had the space to work at home. Not everyone had a camera. Not everyone had a microphone, and so on. So we had to overcome some technical issues in the beginning, but I think that happened very fast, and it happened everywhere. So finally, it also made possible that we can have this amazing festival in this context, despite of Corona. But one thing remains, and this is we are still physically distanced. So we are not able to be in one room. We cannot sit together. We cannot be together in a coffee break for something like that. It's not possible at the moment to meet like we did it before. So the question is, how can we build trust in this setup? Now you might ask, why trust? Is this really the first thing? Yes. Remember the main pillars of Scrum, and trust is a precondition for everything. Imagine transparency. If you are asked to be transparent on your work and your results, would you like to be transparent in an environment where you do not trust each other? Probably not. And this is also the same for the Scrum values. For example, would you like to be courageous in an environment where trust is not happening? Probably not. So trust is really the key to be successful, and it's even it's not more important in a remote setup, but it's necessary to take care, probably more than in an office environment. Clarity is something that helps to strengthen trust within a team. And Scott Weiner from Serious Scrum found out 8 dimensions of clarity, and I like this picture very much, so I decided to steal it from Scott. But you can find the link on the slide so that you can look it up as well, because I think he brought it on the point what is important for clarity and then for trust. First one is purpose. It's necessary to know why we are working on something, and what are the goals, and why we are working for that. And this also leads to higher engagement and also to higher motivation. It's important to know what you are working for, why you are doing something, and then people will become more involved. Second one is process. Sometimes things are working quite well, but we forget to save what we already achieved, so that maybe later, when someone needs the same process, this person has to invent the process again, because we forgot to save the process. And that's why we should try to make everything what is working well explicit. Explicit is missing on the slide. So make it explicit, and then everyone can use the process that already worked well. And it's also a baseline to improve the process, because you cannot improve a process that nobody knows. That wants to work. This is something that you know from Scrum, where you make your progress explicit in the daily, and where you talk about the goals and if you are still on track. And that's why in this clarity in this regard is transparency, and you can keep direction through transparency. This is important. Value. It's necessary to generate value for the customer, of course, and therefore you need to measure what you create, because otherwise you cannot prove if you deliver value or not. And also metrics can be used as a supercharger. This is also stolen from Scott. I like it very much, because when you do not meet the expectations and of your measurements, then you might be motivated to improve. And if you meet them, it's always a good reason to celebrate. So use them as a supercharger. Communication. Of course, face-to-face communication would be preferable, and video is okay, but not as good as face-to-face. But this is what we have at the moment, so we cannot change it. But it's necessary to transport or to distribute emotions, because emotions are a very big part of the communication. You know that we are communicating with how we talk, how we speak, how we pronounce things. If we speak very loud, or if we speak very low. So we have different ways of communication, and of course the spoken communication is even better than written. But if you cannot see the person, it's difficult. So so communication should be at least by video. Quality. Find your way between done and over engineer. That means meet the expectations of your customers, but do not more than that, because this is waste too. You can, after meeting the expectations, you can further elaborate on what the customer needs next, and then you can go on. But don't put a hypothesis in place what the customer might like, and then you have this kind of over engineering. Talk to him. Meetings. Don't waste time. Usually we have, for example, a meeting for 1 hour, and then we will use this hour. So usually the meeting lasts until the hour is over. And even if we do not have really new stuff to discuss, or everything is said anyways, we usually use the hour. So try to end your meetings earlier if everything is said. Also, the cadence of meetings is important. So you from Scrum, you for example know that we have the planning and the retrospective and the review and the dailies, of course. So this kind of cadence brings stability to the teams and creates interaction points, and so these meetings are very important. The next one is culture. Culture, of course, you know that culture is nothing that you can implement. It's something that needs to evolve from how people work together, and of course the purpose of the company, and many aspects are important for creating a culture. And this is kind of atmosphere in the company. And of course, this helps to strengthen trust within a team. 8 dimensions of clarity. Just a quick walk through. And now you might ask yourself, isn't that true for all teams working together, independent from working together in a remote context or in an office context? Yes, that's true. But I think that 2 of them are pretty important for creating a better atmosphere in this environment, in this remote environment. So I would like to point out 2 of them, and that's meetings and culture. Because of course you need a purpose. If you do not need a purpose, you can create the best environment, the best remote working environment, you won't be successful. If you have crappy processes, you won't be successful, neither in a remote context nor in an office context. Also, the transparency of work. If you do not know what the others do, it's difficult to work together, and so on. So, of course, all of these 8 dimensions are very important for working together anyways. But again, I want to focus on meetings and culture again, because I think that these 2 have changed, or at least these 2 need special attention in this remote context. Meetings. Meetings are the environment that you need to create. And first one is switch on the cameras to see each other, because and it was pretty funny in the beginning when everyone switched off the camera. I don't know, probably there are different reasons to switch off the camera, like having a mess behind you, or sitting in the kitchen or in the bedroom. Doesn't matter. But it's very necessary to switch the cameras on. And if you think about the office context, you would not hide yourself in an office meeting. You couldn't. I mean, you could sit under the table or something, but nobody would do that. It's in the office context, it was usual to sit together and to see each other. So to transfer it in a virtual environment, it's necessary to see each other as well. So switch on the cameras. Share your screens to have the same view on what you're talking about, what you are discussing, where you are. It's also important for people who might have some technical issues, that whenever they jump in again, that they know where you are, that they can take the thread what you are discussing at the moment. So that's why it's always helpful to share the screen. And it's also important to have kind of agenda. And to have an agenda is, from my point of view, it's important anyways, but probably in a virtual environment, it might be even more important to have some kind of structure in your meetings. And of course, it's very good to have documentation of the results. Don't do some over documentation, but some key results. It's always helpful to have the documentation of this. In a virtual meeting and remote meeting, it's helpful to have feedback mechanisms so that people can react to what is presented, for example. And it's also helpful to approach participants actively. So if you recognize that someone is not talking at all during the entire meeting, approach those people, get them into the meeting. I think it's very important to integrate everyone in the discussions, because in a virtual environment, it's even more easy. It's easier to lose people, especially when they switch off the camera, but also when you are in this setup, for example, like someone is sharing the screen, someone is doing a presentation, all the pictures are only very small on the screen. It's very important to take care for everyone and to have an eye on how the people are sitting, what they are doing. Are they still following you? And from my point of view, what helps a lot is use check-ins to increase attention. So make a clear start of the meeting. In an office environment, usually the people came together, and once everyone was in the room, the meeting started. It's more or less the same in a virtual environment, but people are doing a lot of stuff around their video conferences. They have their emails in front of them. They are working on something that they have in front of them, because they do not change the setting. They do not go into a meeting room. They are still sitting in front of all the work they are doing at the moment or the day. So for me, it's always important to check in everyone. For groups that are kind of that know each other very well, they are working in a team every day. It's more like have a look on how everyone is feeling, if everything's okay, and so on. And of course, for groups where people are not familiar with each other, it's very important to get to know each other, because everything is a matter of trust, and you won't trust a person that you don't know. So that's why in a setting where we have people from different departments, for example, the check-in can help to get to know each other a little bit. And the second one, again, is culture. We are, as I said, physically distanced, and we need to create proximity to get together, to trust each other. And again, what is very important is to switch on the cameras to see everyone. This is also a culture question, of course. As I said, it's kind of it's more intense to show what's behind you, for example, in a meeting, and to show your home to your colleagues, and so we probably need to get used to it. And this is again a question of trust. If we want to let all the people in to your room, to our rooms. And what I found very helpful during the pandemic is to create socializing time, to support virtual coffee or lunch breaks, to support after work events, for example, because in an office, when you are in the office, you meet people when you grab a coffee or when you walk around or whatever, and this happens, but it won't happen in the virtual environment, because you won't meet anyone from your colleagues in your home, and that's why it's to create these meetings on purpose that usually happen without any purpose. So, for example, you can set up a coffee break in the morning where everyone can come together and just talk about whatever comes into your mind, not work related, something that is what you did over the weekend, for example, whatever. Create the socializing times, because it makes people more familiar with each other, and again, this creates trust. And what I think is very important is to increase the fun factor of working together remotely. So see it as a challenge and make it a challenge. For example, video conferencing bingo is something that we play from time to time. I don't know if you know it. You can just Google it. You will find some templates for the game. it's just to bring fun into this environment, because and this is something that I mentioned earlier, it's not always easy to be isolated, or to be to work somewhere where your children are jumping around, or when you have to share your work, your home office room, for example. That's not easy. So I think it's necessary to have some fun and laughing during the meetings, and the video conferencing bingo will help you with this. So this was a quick overview of what I think is the most important thing in remote setups. One is to take care for the meetings, as I said, prepare them well, and take care for everyone who is in the meeting. And the second one is culture. Make socializing possible, and both things will bring stability to your team and to your work environment, and hopefully some fun. And that's it. Thank you very much for your attention. And now I'm interested in your questions.
Very much, Julianne, for this very insightful presentation. Very short, but very, very insightful.
Thank you.
I think there are no questions, but when you go to the chat section, you see a message. People are they saying that, Julianne, I fully agree with your line of thought, and it resonates with a piece of work I completed recently. But do you realize video or camera is turned off for participants in this event? Hello, Julianne.
Hello.
Did you hear the message? Did you hear the message I read from Ade? Julianne, did you hear the message from Ade?
No, I cannot hear.
Oh, sorry.
Well, I mean, I've been unmuted. If you want me to sort of go, if you want me to sort of talk about it. I mean, Julianne, I mean, that was a fantastic, talk. And like I said in the message, it resonates very well with a piece of work I completed just end of January.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, this event itself, the camera is turned off for attendees.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we walk the talk?
You mean to switch on the camera? Switch on the camera.
Well, walk the talk is, like I said, the event itself, camera is turned off for attendees. I mean, that is a bit of a conflict, is it? Don't you think?
You mean that everyone's not prepared and not provided the camera?
I don't know. The fact that everyone, that the camera is purposely, because, we've all attended a number of events on Agile20reflect. It has always been optional. Either you turn your camera on or off. But for this event, attendees' cameras have been turned off, or video, I should say.
Mm-hmm. I know what I understand. I mean, it's probably a first thing is a question of bandwidth, of course, but I think that everyone is invited to take part in this festival, and everyone is here because he or she wants to be here. And if you would force everyone to switch the camera on, maybe we would lose participants, because of course we don't know each other. So we are not in this trust environment that we need to create, of course. But when you meet for the first time in this is probably true for most of the participants in this conference. It would be difficult to force everyone to switch the camera on, but of course I would like to invite everyone, of course, to switch the camera on. But for me, it's also important to spread the message of Agile, also to those people who might not be familiar with cameras.
Okay. My opinion, I mean, this is probably sort of, a lessons learned for Aditi, who organized this particular event. Mm-hmm. That Agile and given the fantastic talk you have just given, I think they should sort of take a lessons learned from this, that the idea of cameras it ensures and it allows people to trust one another. Mm-hmm. Like you said, maybe it's a bandwidth issue. I don't know, because and I'm not sure you could sort of profile on that as well. So, but thank you for for the fantastic talk. It resonates very well.
Thank you very much for your comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ade. But we can give the option for people to turn on their cameras. We just have to do the setting right now. If everybody is okay with it, we'll just do that right away. And then if you want to, you just put on your camera.
Cool. That's nice. I like it.
That's been Agile. I like that too. That's what Agile is all about.
Thank you so much, Ade. Please let your questions come in.
No worries.
Setting the cameras and the questions.
Ade, maybe we can connect on LinkedIn if you just.
That's fantastic. I mean, we can. I mean, I'll connect with you after the event. Yeah, I've seen your LinkedIn line there.
Yeah, thank you. So
Great
that's
stuff.
Nice. Looking forward to.
Great stuff.
Hi, Julianne. I don't know if my speaker's on.
Yes, it is on.
Hi, it's Amanda here.
Amanda, hi.
Hi, so nice to be sitting in and hearing your talk. And I so enjoyed your focus on culture and meetings, because I really think if there's two things that make a difference with your remote teams, it is focusing on those two. I just wanted to add an alternative view on the camera story, if I may. Mm-hmm. And I so get where you're coming from. It's exactly where I'm coming from, is that I love to see people. I love to see their reactions. I love to see the engagement. So I love it when I've got a screen full of all little happy faces. But what I've come to realize very much in the kind of training that we're doing is that we can't, in my head, I can't keep saying in the office you'd be sitting around the table. In the office you wouldn't be looking at your emails while I'm having this meeting. In the office you'd look respectable and you wouldn't be in your dressing gown. I've started to realize that keeping the cameras off is quite respectful to many, many of the participants that are sitting in the room. And I'll give you examples of things that have been brought to my attention. For instance, when we're in the office space, you don't know what my home environment is like, and I can feel that I'm at the same level as you. And I'm just talking, when I'm saying level, I'm talking about my living standard, in other words, my house. Now, suddenly we had situations where managers or senior people started to feel embarrassed about their environments, in terms of they were back now in areas which didn't have good connectivity. They couldn't get connectivity in every room. They didn't necessarily have the privilege of having a separate room where they could meet. And so they would be, for instance, in the bathroom or in an awkward place for them to reveal to their colleagues. And so when we would say, please put on your cameras, it caused an enormous amount of shame, but also just of embarrassment or of awkwardness and whatever. So what I've really realized now is to tune into those black screens. And it sounds funny. I know my first workshop I ran, very soon, sorry to go on so much, but very soon in the virtual world was where we were looking at body language and assertiveness. That was what the training was about. And there was not one camera on the whole screen. And I said, well, we're looking at body language, and I need to be able to, we need to see each other and be able to give feedback on things that are happening on your face and whatever. But it was such that they did not have cameras. The group didn't have cameras, or they wouldn't put it on. And so we had to tune into other aspects of tone of voice, of a whole lot of other dimensions, because we didn't have the privilege of seeing them. And it actually turned out to be a very interesting and very different and quite rich in terms of them giving quite personal information and sharing a lot more than they would have perhaps with cameras on. So I've just started to realize and started to try for myself to recognize that it's respectful to give people the choice.
Yes, I fully agree with you, Amanda. I try to mention that it's not necessarily good to force people to do it, because we need this kind of trusty environment to decide to switch the cameras on. And you see that this kind of circle, once people do not have this trusty atmosphere, it's not a good idea to force anyone to switch the cameras on, because then this will definitely not lead to a more trustful situation. It will be the opposite. So that's why I fully agree with you. It's not a good idea to force anyone. It's always an invitation, and this is important. There's one question in the chat, in the Q&A. You mentioned you recently stopped.
Would you like to take it?
Sorry?
Would you like to take it, or I should read it out?
I can take it. I read it out. You mentioned you recently started in your current job. Could you please explain shortly what were your first steps to lead an agile transformation in a new place? What would you recommend for those in similar positions? Thank you for the presentation. So welcome the presentation. I always like to share things. So you're welcome. I started in the new role in January, and the first thing was to have one-on-one meetings, virtual meetings, of course, with all the colleagues around me, because it was necessary to get to know each other, at least virtually. So then I started to talk about not the people. So after getting to know each other, we started to talk about the state of the agile transformation within the company, because it's already ongoing, and that's why it was important for me to understand where are they, what did they do so far, what do they think are their current successes, what did not work well, so where do they see room for improvement, for example. So probably the first 4 or 5 weeks I listen to everyone and try to understand where they are and what the state of the agile transformation is. And now it starts that I can come up with ideas and recommendations and create some kind of strategy together with my team. But I think the first part is really to understand where they are, because otherwise your ideas might not fit to what has already been done. I hope this answers your question. Next one is, hi Julianne, do you have specific tips and tricks to work in a remote environment with a big team where you need to work on connectedness and fun? Yes, we had a workshop last week together with 60 people. Maybe this is a big team. It's the entire area where we are working on agile transformation, and we had a lot of fun with doing some online gaming together in smaller groups. So we tried to split the group in, I don't know, teams of 5 or 6, and then we did a kind of online escape room where you need to solve or where you need to answer a question like Sherlock Holmes. So this was very nice. What's also nice is to create your office, for example, or another environment in a tool called GatherTown. I don't know if you know it already. Another one would be WonderMe, but in GatherTown, you can create a lot. I don't know how it really works in WonderMe because I'm more familiar with GatherTown. And in GatherTown, it looks like a 90s computer game, and you are walking with a kind of avatar through the environment of this game. And whenever you get next to each other, the camera and also the audio will switch on, and then you can talk to each other. You can see each other, and you can talk to each other. So you can also, for big teams, you can also build for example, your office, how you would sit in real life, and then you can meet also accidentally in this environment. And you can, for example, establish a coffee corner where you can meet, and if you see on your screen that someone is in the coffee corner, you can also walk there and then talk. So this is something that works very well from my point of view for big teams, also to get in contact with the others. GatherTown. I can write it down, right? Can I write it down?
Yeah, you can.
So yeah. Oh, was this was the wrong one, right? I hope this answers your question too. Sorry.
We have some hands up, so you can unmute.
Hi, this is Sheila McGrath.
Hi,
I have a couple of comments. First, I live in Northern Virginia in Washington, D.C. metro area in the U.S., but I still have bandwidth issues. So I frequently do not put my camera on because a lot of times if I do, I have problems with the sound. Now, I do have too many windows open on my computer, but that's normal for me. So it's not just a problem in some, and the thing about people working in their bathroom or homeschooling kids, that's a universal problem. And it crosses all social boundaries. It's just, that's where we are right now. But I've worked with remote teams for probably 20 years. And in a lot of cases, I mean, for a long time, we didn't even have a video capability. And then when we did, I would get told I could not put video on if I had any external participants because they were worried about breaching the firewall. So this is an ongoing problem for everybody. And the other thing is, you were talking about people don't want to be seen in their dressing gown or whatever, and they don't bother to dress up. Well, I've been working with offshore teams for a long time. Offshore to me, which means they're on the other side of the world. So if I'm getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning for a meeting, and then I'm going to, after I have my meeting with my offshore team, get ready to go into the office. Yeah, I don't want to turn on my camera when I just rolled out of bed for the meeting. Or if it's 11 o'clock at night, because that works for the team. There are lots of reasons why.
I cannot hear you any longer.
That's probably a bandwidth problem.
That's the problem of the bandwidth, yes.
Yeah, I just had a bandwidth problem where I just had to rejoin. And that's with my video off. If it was on, it would probably be happening more. I mean, all of these are universal problems. And yes. I know I've talked to some teams who say that they all agreed, they voted that they would all turn on their cameras as frequently as possible, and others that said, we know each other, we can communicate without a picture. And so they all agreed they would never turn their cameras on. And a lot of times it's more useful, instead of looking at the person's face, if you've got documents to share, or I've done things like mob programming where I had people on 3 continents, and it was really important for us to all see someone's screen that was being shared. It wasn't that important for us to see each other's faces. But I do have a couple of other comments. The way this panel was set up, I couldn't even see the other people. And I noticed the chat was set up so I could only chat with the panelists or with all attendees. I couldn't see who all attendees are. Now, there's one that I go to that's local to me where they do the same thing, but I think that's kind of restrictive in the way people set it up. And I don't know whether it's the licensing arrangement. But when you limit people's ability to communicate, I mean, one thing that's nice in the chat is if I can send a direct message to somebody, one of the complaints people have in not being in the same room is that you can't have a side conversation. Well, a private direct message chat is sort of like when you turn your head to the person next to you in the room and whisper to them. It's similar in terms of being able to make forward progress with multiple conversations going on concurrently. So I always find it interesting when the meeting is set up that way. There may be cost reasons. It may be just someone is learning the tool. I don't know. But I always find that interesting. I also find it interesting when people only give their first name and then want everybody to connect. I think I'm done.
Thank you, Sheila. I agree with you that, of course, we have this bandwidth and other technical issues all over the world, and we need to further work on it. I think it already improved a lot during the last year, luckily, but there's still a long way to go. I think what you do is perfect, that you share a picture of you instead of the video. So this would be for me very nice if you do not only the initials of everyone, not see the initials of everyone, but at least a picture, because this gives you an impression. For example, I'm new to the company and I don't know anyone. And I always see initials, and basically everyone has the same initials. Like, for me it's helpful to see at least some pictures, even if the bandwidth is not enough, so that the people cannot share the videos. And a second comment is that I think that's different for teams who already work together a long time. If people are used to each other and they are talking about the technical stuff, etc., it's for me it's much easier to switch off the cameras and to not see each other, because the people already know each other very well. But I think to get to know each other and to build this trust, which is very important for me, I think it's just helpful to see each other and yeah, to get to have an impression of someone. But yes, I think there are different stages in a team and development process where one or the other might be more helpful. And well, as I said, I really like the idea of putting just a picture into the Zoom or whatever you're using. Who's next?
I thought of one more
Julianne,
thing.
hello, Julianne, can you hear me?
Sorry, I thought of one more thing. If people are uncomfortable going on camera, but they do have the bandwidth, at least in Zoom, there's an ability to change your appearance. There are a few different settings where you can go in. There's one, I forget what it's called, but there's
kind of blurred mode where you then cannot see the background. Really good.
That's one. Another one is your physical appearance. There are things that you can do. I keep having other things going on.
I think those are the filters, Sheila. You can use the filters on on Zoom to do a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's the blur, but there's another thing that you can do. Where you change your appearance. There's one that you can go into that it's an advanced setting where you can even change the appearance of you can change your complexion, you can change your eyebrows, you can change your lips.
Why do you want to do that, Shayla?
Because I'm old enough that my eyebrows are kind of getting sparse. So
it doesn't matter. That is wisdom, you know?
But it's easier to see me if I have more eyebrows.
Okay.
I can look kind of ghostly at times.
Nice one.
But I mean, if people are uncomfortable on camera because they're concerned about their appearance, there are a number of things you can do that are part of at least Zoom. And I think some of the others have things like that too, if you're using a different tool, where you can experiment, not just with the background, but with your physical appearance. Sorry, I think I'm really finished this time.
Michael.
Hi, Juliana. Michael here. I'm from Cape Town, South Africa. Thanks for a really good talk. I've enjoyed it, and some of the points that have been raised have been really cool. And I obviously I'm aware of that some people don't enjoy being on camera, and I guess that's okay. My personal feeling is it's nice to see people and have that interaction. And it kind of, to me, it can reduce a sense of isolation that one can get if one is sort of stuck on one's own for a lot of the time. So I quite like the conversation with camera, but that's just me, you know. I respect that other people don't. Just reversing back to your point about providing participants with an ability to share feedback with you as a speaker, or something of that variety if you're doing a presentation, just to share feedback. And I was wondering what sort of tools you would use for that, because one of them that I think is quite cool and that can work quite well is Menti. It allows you to, and it's also got a bit of a fun element to it as well. So I was wondering what if you would use things like that for your feedback in sessions.
Yes, definitely. Sometimes it's something like Menti or other tools working similar. And in Menti, what is really nice is that you can see all the real-time results of your surveys, which is really nice. And what we also do is using less fancy stuff, like when we are working on a whiteboard, on an electronic whiteboard together, that we just do kind of dot voting, what you usually would do on a flip chart. We do it on this whiteboard, for example. So this is something that we usually do in the end of meetings, for example, to see cool. If everyone liked the meeting or not.
Okay, cool. That sounds great. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Michael.
Great.
Any other questions? Otherwise, I think the time is over. Jemima, what do you think?
Yeah, hello. Yes, I think everyone's video is on now. Everyone's camera is on now. So you can probably have a look at everyone, those who want to put on their videos. But Julianne, you first need to stop screen so that we can see everyone's face.
Okay, I do. I stop it.
Hi.
Nice.
Andrew, this is Andrew. Hi, from Ghana.
Hello, Andrew.
Hi, how are you?
Andrew.
Thank you. I couldn't afford to miss this one. I've enjoyed it.
We are glad you.
Oh, yes.
Anyone show his face or her face and tell us where they are from?
Oh, from Andrew Adam Kwati, Anson Travel Consult, Ghana. Still a young man, yes. Enjoying Akaditi.
Okay, thank you, Andrew.
Oh, anytime.
Do you have anyone?
Oh, why everybody has run away?
Oh, no, we have a lot of people on the. Anyone else wants to show their face and tell us where they?
I am Marco. I am Marco from Italy.
The weather seems to be amazing in Italy.
Yeah, there is a good weather. It's not so cold. I am in my garden, close to my home, and I work from there, in the outside.
Very nice.
Thanks a lot, Julianne, for your talk.
Welcome.
Thanks.
Or anyone else, please?
What a luxury, Marco. I actually envy where you are sitting, but hey, I'm Ade. I mean, I'm based in the UK. Well, it's getting warm here as well. We're getting some sun soon, but nothing compares to what you are showing there. Thanks to Julian and thanks to Akaditi for facilitating this event. I've thoroughly enjoyed and learned something. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the session.
Julian, thank you very, very much. That was excellent from A to Z. You are very, very excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
I enjoyed every bit of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we have anyone else? Don't forget to drop your LinkedIn address in the chat session so that.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Julian.
Hi,
It's been
Nana.
a while. It's been a while.
It's been a while, that's true. I hope it's not so long until we meet again.
I hope the same too. It's been too long.
Yeah, 1.5 years. That's really too long. And I already booked the flights to Ghana for 2020. So
I know.
I had to cancel them.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. But thank you very much for today. And thank you very much for participating in this global festival. I think it's so relevant to all of us. So greetings from Ghana, from the mountains. I'm up on the mountain.
Nice.
And so, yeah, I'm actually moving to my farm as well. So I'm going to be moving and living on the farm and doing organic farming and organic medicine and retreats and all of that, healing village. So when you come to Ghana next time, we have to take you to the farm one day.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
Same here, same here. Take care. It's great to have you on the platform. Really cool to see you. Say hi to everyone in Germany, and we'll be touching base again, no doubt, soon.
Yes, hopefully.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you too.
Thank you very much, Nana.
Thank you. Well done, everyone.
Do we have anyone else who wants to tell us where they are from? Hello, Julianne.
Yes? Sorry, I didn't get it.
Like, very few people actually want to use their video.
How many?
saying that very few people want to turn on their video.
Oh, yeah, that's good. That's nice. It's always nice to see people, and I'm still jealous to see Marco in his garden. That's really nice.
Yeah. So we want to end the session here. I think we stuck by the time. And Julian, we are so grateful. We are so grateful for this very interactive session. And we look forward to more chats with you, especially with Akaditi. And we appreciate you so much. And to all the participants that joined in, we say thank you and stay safe out there. We'd want to see more of you in our event. So protect yourself from COVID and be agile. Bye, everyone. Bye, Julianne.
Bye, Jemima. It was amazing. Thank you for the moderation and facilitation. Thank you. And bye.
Sunshiny day.